Hello, everybody, and thank you for participating in the national webinar on the EUREKA Joint Clusters Sustainability Call 2022. My name is Elizabeth Frisch, and I'm the project officer for EUREKA projects here at Luxinnovation, where I am an advisor in the Corporate Research Development and Innovation Support Department. The agenda for today's webinar will be a short introduction by Laurent Stock from the Ministry of Economy, followed by a keynote speech from SAS, EUREKA's HITEC Next core group member. Then we will have the presentation of the Joint Clusters Sustainability Call 2022. Then we will present the national funding rules, and then HITEC will share its experiences in participating in EUREKA projects. Lastly, we will move on to a Q&A session. So without further ado, I will pass on the word to Laurent Stock, Director of Circular Economy and Clean Technologies at the Ministry of Economy.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for the introduction. So good afternoon, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you from the Ministry of the Economy to this webinar on the EUREKA Sustainability Call 2022. As you might know, the Ministry of Economy has published last year its strategy for 2025 on Wirtschaft für More, which is a roadmap for a competitive and sustainable economy. The roadmap focuses on accelerating digitalization, facilitating the transition to a circular economy, developing strategic, resilient value chains, and fostering a safe, trusted data economy. It addresses the industrial innovation policies, regulation, financial instruments, and actions necessary to support the rapid emergence of a competitive, resilient, and sustainable economy in Luxembourg. The Ministry of the Economy will continue on this path to create an innovation-friendly ecosystem, bringing together private and public players in research and innovation projects. The Ministry of the Economy encourages especially companies in their R&D efforts and activities and supports collaborative R&D projects through national and European funding schemes. Luxembourg has supported the EUREKA program since the beginnings, and in the last years has supported many projects, especially 9 projects funded since 2016. Besides the Eurostars programs, which is both supported by the Ministry of the Economy and the AVANA, the Ministry of Economy does also support EUREKA cluster initiatives, including the annual transnational collaborative calls, such as this cross-cluster call on sustainability. The present call fits perfectly in the strategy of the Ministry of the Economy and of the Government of Luxembourg. So I encourage you to participate in this sustainable call and to reach out to Luxinnovation for any support. I wish you an inspiring information session this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for this introduction. Let's move on to Konstantinos Liolis from SAS.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for the introduction. Let me share my screen. Just a moment. It's coming. Just a moment. Can you see my screen now? Great. Yes. Good afternoon, all. Many thanks for this nice opportunity. My name is Konstantinos Liolis. I work in SES as Senior Manager Business Development Projects. And my talk today will be from the perspective of Celtic Next core group member. Celtic Next is a EUREKA cluster for ICT and next generation communications. So we have recently joined this association, and we are happy to give a talk today to share some perspectives in this regard with you. A few words about SES. SES is a world-leading satellite operator. We are headquartered in Luxembourg, actually in Betzdorf, Luxembourg, and in fact we are a leader in global content connectivity solutions. We own and operate more than 70 satellites in 2 orbits, geostationary Earth orbit and medium Earth orbit. And through our satellites, we cover about 99% of the globe and world population. In fact, we have unique satellite assets in these 2 orbits, in GEO and MEO, which is complemented by a terrestrial ground segment, actually a global access teleport network, which together with our satellite fleet, it helps to meet our customer needs in terms of video and data communications. We are driver of innovation towards building a cloud-scale automated virtual fiber network of the future based on our satellite assets and ground segment assets. As said, we are headquartered in Luxembourg, but we have representation in more than 20 locations around the world. We employ more than 2,000 employees. A big part of it is located in Luxembourg, and we count more than 80 nationalities. As we say in SES, we do the extraordinary in space to deliver amazing experiences everywhere on Earth. So we believe that those amazing experiences on Earth must include our ability to advance sustainable development aligned with the goals of the United Nations. So SES can uniquely harness the power of space to address the most pressing challenges on Earth. Along with our customers, partners, and governments, we can accelerate progress towards a more sustainable, secure, and equitable future. In fact, very recently, last year in 2021, we embarked on a new journey to evaluate the ways that SES makes a difference through a different lens, inclusive of our stakeholders, and challenging ourselves to ask not only what our responsibility as a company is, but actually what more we can do in order to impact the planet and help us all collectively achieve the sustainable development goals of the United Nations. And we are very proud to say that through extensive stakeholder outreach, we have developed a purpose-led ESG strategy, environmental, social, and government strategy aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. In fact, our ESG strategy, or else called Horizon strategy, focuses on 4 key pillars where the company can uniquely lead and contribute to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. These are sustainable space, climate action, diversity and inclusion, and critical human needs. A few words about each one of these pillars. On the sustainable space, as you know, SES has been operating in the space for over 35 years and has been leading the satellite communication industry with innovative technologies to meet the needs of our consumers on the ground. Since our founding, many new space players have entered the market, and the use of space technologies has continued to grow. Space companies, all the new, are providing critical infrastructure to the planet. So if this resource is not protected and space actors are not held to a high standard of responsibility, then these critical services are in danger. So we believe it is critical to lead, collaborate, and innovate in order to ensure the sustainable use of space for the decades to come. In fact, SES has a responsibility to innovate the ways that we reduce our own footprint across the life cycle of our services, from the satellite launch to the satellite decommission at the end of the operational lifetime. Nevertheless, this should not be the limit to SES sustainable space ambitions. As a leader in the industry, we must also advance the responsible use of space by advocating and collaborating for best practice approaches and innovative solutions so that the space continues to be a resource for delivering solutions to address the challenges on Earth. In terms of climate action, every company has a responsibility to our planet by making commitments to reduce emissions. At SES, we are committing to a climate action in line with the Paris Climate Accord, and we have initiated a so-called net zero journey by reformulating our corporate strategy to include climate change at its core. We are dedicated to reaching a net zero by no later than 2050, and we know that this commitment will require a reduction in our operational emissions as well as a close examination of our emissions up and down our value chain. So we are very early in fact in this journey, but we are very committed to this as a core piece of our ESG strategy. Additionally, we know that satellite connectivity is a powerful tool for customers to deliver critical services on Earth. So we think that there is a great opportunity to innovate in that field and provide solutions to help our customers solve their climate and environmental challenges and collaborate to provide solutions for climate action. In fact, we have just started this year, and we will be examining possible ways that we can leverage our satellite-based technology in this way. In what concerns diversity and inclusion, providing a more equitable future on Earth begins with our own diversity within SES and the space industry at large. We know that a diverse workforce and industry not only help us to achieve our financial goals as a business, but also provides a better and more representative work environment to our employees and contributes to the future of the sustainable communities. So SES is proud of the steps that it has taken in this domain for the past 2 years through our established D&I, Diversity and Inclusion Program. However, when developing our ESG strategy, we knew that we wanted to commit to advancing our work with clear priorities and targets for the going forward, not only in order to build a more diverse and inclusive workforce across all areas of our business, but also by making targets. And lastly, in terms of critical human needs, at its core, we, SES, provide products and services that connect people around the world to the content. In fact, SES provides over 1 billion people with access to news, information, and entertainment, and bring connectivity to remote populations around the globe. So reliable connectivity is key to driving digitalization and boosting the economies and producing positive outcomes for every individual. Our products and services deliver this, aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, and we believe that we can continue to align our business goals to direct innovation and partnerships to expand access to education, health, and informational services. So in fact, together with our industry partners, customers, and governments, we know that we can expand reliable access content in isolated places. These are the 4 pillars of our new, bold environmental, social, and governance so-called ESG strategy. And the next slides, I'm going to focus more on the innovation part. So in fact, SES has been taking a leadership role in the next generation communications and ICT technologies in general, but also particularly in the 5G and beyond 5G ecosystem. So we have been actively collaborating with our ecosystem partners to promote the satellite role into 5G, and we have been actively participating in collaborative R&D and innovation projects funded by various institutional customers, such as the European Commission, the European Space Agency, and also national Luxembourg funding programs. To name a few, we are part of the EU Secure Space Connectivity Satellite System, which is about an EU building it is about building a new EU constellation system to provide GovSatcom, but also broadband and 5G services in areas of interest for European Commission. We are part of several Horizon 2020 projects and the European Space Agency projects about satellite integration into 5G, like SATIS-5, SAT-5G, and 5G FINI project. We are entering into new projects funded by the European Commission, such as COMECT as part of space program. We are also part of several industry associations looking into the future of ICT. This includes in the domain of 5G, the 5G PPP, Public-Private Partnership, as well as the 5G Industry Association. And now, recently, moving into the 6G world, we are a member of the 6G Infrastructure Association on the Smart Network Services. And we are also, as said in the beginning of my presentation, we have recently joined the Celtic Next core group, which is a EUREKA cluster for next generation communication technologies. Apart from R&D work and industry association participation participation. We are also active member in several open source initiatives, as well as standardization activities around the world, such as the 3GPP, ETSI, ITU, but also on open source such as ONAP, Linux, and MEF Foundation. So with that, we, let's say, put particular emphasis on the innovation and try to take a leadership role in terms of promoting satellite integration into 5G, but also beyond 5G and 6G. Now, a few more details on the Celtic Next, particularly. As said, the SES is a very recent member of the Celtic Next core group. Xavier later on will elaborate on the Celtic Next and EUREKA. EUREKA is, let's say, Celtic Next is actually a specific EUREKA cluster for ICT, information and communication technologies. And the core group is a specific group within the Celtic Next, which comprises 20 industry members from 12 countries, mainly European countries. SES very recently joined the core group of the Celtic Next. We actually joined in December 2021, last year. And in fact, we are the only Luxembourg industry representative in that group, but also we are the only SATCOM industry representative. So the group mainly comprises of ecosystem players from the mobile industry ecosystem, mainly mobile network operators and mobile industry vendors. Some tasks and responsibilities of the core group is to set up the strategy and coherence and ensure the coherence of the Celtic Next program, to represent this program to the public authorities. In Luxembourg, it is Luxinnovation, to provide the interface to these public authorities, to define and update the guidelines for the structure and organization of the program, to take decisions on tasks and guidelines for the Celtic Next group of experts who are responsible for the review and evaluation of the project, so including project selection. The core group itself is also responsible for selection of the funded projects, assisted by the group of experts, and to execute and overall manage the Celtic Next program. The group is also responsible for approval of the budget, the operational costs, and financial audit of the Celtic Next organization structure per se. So as said, the SES is the only Luxembourg and SATCOM industry representative. So let's have a very few words on what are the benefits for SES and Luxembourg through participation in such a core group association of the Celtic Next. First of all, by participating as a company in such a industry association, we get the chance to participate and influence in setting the European industry position on key relevant ICT technologies. Celtic Next core group is a kind of steering group, so we have the opportunity also to provide strategic direction and make strategic decisions for the program itself. We have an insight and influence and early visibility on the work program itself, and we also participate in the review of submitted proposals, selection of projects to be funded, but also evaluation of contracted projects. We get a very unique opportunity to network and interact with leading mobile industry stakeholders, such as leading EU MNOs, mobile network operators, and leading mobile industry vendors, but also other players of the 5G and beyond 5G ecosystem. Thus, we have the opportunity to trigger funded projects with these entities in order to serve our key needs on the satellite integration into 5G. With that, we help promote the satellite role into the 5G and beyond ecosystem, and in general we help promote Luxembourg industry interest in that domain. There is an ongoing work program for the years to come of the Celtic Next. Our main focus is on the SATCOM aspects. This is in line with our business interest. So out of the various pillars of this Celtic Next work program, we put more focus and emphasis on the 3D convergence with SATCOM of the terrestrial infrastructure and space-enabled 5G, beyond 5G, but also future-looking 6G. Xavier later on will elaborate on the Celtic Next and EUREKA Call. So with that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions at the end of this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this interesting intervention. I now pass on the word to Xavier Prim from the EUREKA Celtic Next cluster for the presentation of the sustainability call.
Yes, thank you. So just one moment, I'm loading the presentation. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. Okay,
very good. So thanks, Kostas, for your keynote and highlighting Celtic Next. But yeah, I have to a little bit correct the message. It's a joint cluster call, so all the clusters from EUREKA Clusters program are involved. I'm only presenting in this webinar on the name or in the name of the 5 clusters. Of course, Celtic Next is very happy to be in this call because there are topics that are very much linked to our roadmap and so on, but we are not the only cluster running this call. So I will switch to the next slide. So it's a call about sustainability. So sustainability for industry, how to accelerate sustainability for the industry. So it's time to invest in sustainability. So it's not too late, but it's really time now. We have to do it. And it's essential for all actors to become more sustainable. Within our industries, you will see in the 5 clusters, we are representing different industrial communities. And for the other verticals that might not be represented directly by the clusters, but it's time to invest in sustainability for each industry individually, but also for industries like Celtic Next, ITR, XCCS, while let's say more pillar clusters to develop technologies that can be used in verticals and to develop the economic, technological, and societal rising challenges responses. So we have to tackle energy and resource issues in our industries and in the supported verticals, and it should be placed at the heart of the combined digital and green transitions. And digital transition should always keep in mind it has to support green transition. Industry needs to become itself sustainable and provide solutions, as I was saying, in all potential economic and societal sectors. It's not a question of focusing on a very narrow bound, let's say, industry or sector. It's really a wide interest. So only if we join forces globally, we will be able to tackle this challenge. So on the next, as I was saying, yes, the director of Celtic Next of the office, and thanks again, Kostas, for your introduction. But we are 5 clusters working together on this call. So ourselves, as very well introduced, EUREKA 2030, who is looking at, let's say, green energy systems and energy technologies for a greener energy sector, ITR for software innovations, SMART, which is smart manufacturing, so how to make more intelligent manufacturing, improve processes, improve manufacturing, make it greener, and XCCS, who is looking at electronics and components and systems of electronics, who are very important as well in this kind of initiative. So we are supported by countries, public authorities putting funding capabilities into this call. The list is on the screen. Of course, Luxembourg is in the center of it, as you can see it on the slide. But there are other countries within the network of EUREKA countries that can participate, and partners in those countries that are not listed here are encouraged to go to their local public authorities, their national public authorities, agencies. The lists are on the different clusters web pages, and contact them and propose them to fund as well. They might have possibilities to fund, but did not declare that very much officially to this call, but they can still fund projects, partners in the countries, and any partner of those countries, if it's funded, can be part of the project, or it can decide, okay, I'm so interested in this call that I'm ready to participate in this call on a self-financed manner. So you can also come without funding. So this is important to say. For example, Germany has no specific budget, but is really happy to look at proposals and fund possibly very interesting ones. That's an example only. All contact information and national funding rules can be found on the call website. So the call is targeting sustainable industry projects. There are two special focus areas defined, and you will understand rapidly why SES is in this call and discussing around the table. There's green ICT, and as we see, SATCOM is part of ICT anyway, so green ICT, sustainable electronic components, software, and systems for information communication technologies, supporting sustainable manufacturing, for example, reducing energy and resource consumption for software and hardware components, supporting the whole life cycle of a product, looking also at end-to-end systems and services. Sustainable manufacturing should implement green ICT solutions in factories, operations, processes, product planning, logistics, whatever is linked to the industry and manufacturing. That's one subtopic of this call. The second subtopic of this call is space, earth, ocean integrated systems for better observation and data exploitation, which means, in fact, developing new solutions that can be supported by technological advancements such as satellites, ocean and earth observation systems, ground, ocean and underwater imaging and sensing, or to bring those data together, transport those data, make the computing, look at AI, for example, to to exploit the data, like marine robotic systems as well, 5G and IoT, etc., etc. There are quite a lot of possibilities in this field as well. So these are the two main subtopics. It's a generic call on accelerating sustainable industry, and this is our sustainability for industry. But under this, let's say, umbrella topic, there are two specifics like green ICT and space or social integrated systems for better observation and data exploitation, sorry for the long title, that are looked at in this call. I won't go in the detail of this table, but these are some technologies that the clusters have and together with the public authorities have raised as potential areas of proposals like power electronics and power management, environmental protection and measurement, like automated systems and shipping systems, Industry 4.0 for food production, and secure communication systems and so on. So there are quite a bunch of topics here, but this is not exhaustive. So you can make a proposal about a topic which is not in one of the cells of this table. It's welcomed. We are looking mainly at impact, innovation step, and that it is really connected, strongly connected to sustainability. On the next, you will find the potential technical fields or strategic application domains on this targeted challenges link into our website dedicated to this call. You will see that those mentioned areas, as I was saying, are indicative and not exclusive. Descriptive ideas are always encouraged, and it has to be a dialogue between the consortium and the involved funding bodies from the different countries that the consortium making the proposals is targeting to operate in. So this is on this one. There's a call timeline. So we opened the call on the 1st of February. There's a joint online brokerage event on the 23rd of March, so coming soon. There was, on the 10th of March, a preparation meeting about this joint online brokerage event to look at the tool, how to use it. And this was recorded normally, and you should be able to attend post-mortem to this webinar on the tooling itself for the brokerage event day from the links that you have already seen on the slides. There are additional dates to that, so that's the 23rd of March. Then on the 2nd of May, you have to make a proposal outline submission. That's the deadline, the 2nd of May. On an internal date to us, you will receive on the 24th of June an invitation to submit a full project proposal, an FPP. In case the PO has been validated as fulfilling the criteria to go to FPP. So you will receive an invitation to submit an FPP by the 24th of June. On the 30th of September, you will have, if you have been invited, a deadline to submit your full project proposal in the system. Once you have done that, we will review with our experts. And as Kostas was saying, there are experts in Celtic, but there are experts in the other clusters that will join their forces together to analyze your proposals. They will be attributed across a mechanism, which is when you do your proposal, you have to select one or two clusters. And I want to raise here your attention to the fact that it is a joint call. So we are really looking at getting proposals that are trying to combine several communities together, at least two. It's not possible in the tool to give 3, 4, 5 communities together, but at least two, so that we are looking at cross-fertilizing between the clusters, communities, and the topics, and so on. So yes, you can, it is allowed to select one cluster only, because you feel that it's sufficient or your proposal is very much in line with one cluster only, let's say, domain of competence. But we are really favorizing, we can't favorize in terms of notation, but in our heart, and because it is a joint call, we are looking really at proposals which are trying to combine, I don't know, for example, Celtic Next, so ICT, with software, ITR, or with components, or EUREKA on clean energy with software, or with components, or with ICT technologies. Whatever combination of two clusters can happen, and making sense to make a proposal cross-fertilizing communities together. So really, within the scope of the call, if you can propose proposals that are connecting two communities together, this is very, very welcomed. And please select then the two clusters. There's the primary one and the secondary one. The primary one is, of course, the one that should support you more, because you have content in your proposal that is more linked to this cluster. And the second cluster, the secondary cluster, is for the additional topics which are mixed, but with a little bit less weight into your proposal. So please make this kind of proposals, because we are really looking at a joint call. So again, on the agenda, the 30th of September is the submission deadline for the full project proposal. We will review on the 4th of November, and we will label, or provide a label. And again, this is a white label. That means that's an ECP label, a EUREKA Clusters Program label. It's not one cluster label, but a label from all clusters between the consensus of our experts and public authorities. On the 18th of November, we will try to label all label of projects, and making a chance for you to start as of November 2022. So there will be communication with the different consortia between those dates. It's a multinational, or it's an international or cross-national funding scheme. So that means there are national funding schemes coming together to fund national consortia working together at international level. That means some decision making may be a little bit faster in some countries, a bit slower in other countries because they have different processes. So there is no fixed date to give you when you can start your project. It will be a question of discussion, negotiation, and signing the proper documents with the different public authorities. So that's the agenda of the call. Now, if I go to the benefits for your participation or of your participation in this call, you will be boosted to become a front runner in your sustainability application area with this call. You will receive national funding with an expected success rate of over 30%. So this is the statistic across the clusters, across the years. On the different calls that we run, there's a 30% probability of getting funded and start. There's an access to a large network of organizations from European countries and beyond. You have, if I go back to the countries, if I'm here, you see, you might have Canada, which is supporting Turkey, South Korea, Singapore, South Africa. You see that it goes beyond the borders of Europe. So this is an access to the large network of organizations. You will be part of a flexible program from bottom-up and market-driven ID generation. So we are looking at starting something like TRL 4 towards 8, if you use the TRL index, where we look at really at projects coming with an ID, with a disruptive ID, with an innovative ID, with a chance of commercialization within the 3 years after the project ends. So that means you make the proposal, you get 1 year, so a maximum 1 year before you start, then you have 3 years of projects, and then we are looking at commercialization within possibly at the end of the project, and we want to have projects that are able to commercialize parts of the solution, or the complete solution of the project within the 3 years after the end of the project. So this is what we are looking at. You get coaching and support from experts. So we are not only involving our experts to assess your proposal, but they will be there along the life of your project to help you with difficulties, give you advices, and we have a reporting process where we have a midterm review and a final term review, midterm review at the mid-time of the project. We check how the project has run. If there are problems, we involve our experts, giving you some advices to be a successful project at the end of the project when you will have the final term review. So this is what we propose to you as a plus in getting into this funding scheme. How you submit a project proposal. Project submissions will be based on a common two-step process you have seen with a PO and an FPP. The call guidance is available on the website. The call submission support will be provided by the involved clusters. You have a link here about the call and the different support possibilities. It's essential for each partner to contact their supporting public authority. And I want really to highlight that. Contact your supporting public authority in your country, so here in Luxembourg, but there may be some people connected to this webinar that are not from Luxembourg and want to apply in their own country, as we had in other webinars. Please contact your public authorities early. Discuss with them what are the funding possibilities in the considered country, what's the earliest opportunity to verify the eligibility of criteria and national submission timeline for the national submission in each country of the international consortium. Funding rates, rules of participation are subject to national policies. So it's different in Germany, in Luxembourg, in Canada, in Spain, and so on. So please contact each public authority that is involved in your international consortium. That's very important. So with that, there is project proposals, how or what they should show or provide. Your proposal should primarily target taking sustainable industry technologies beyond the state of the art. So very important, describe well the state of the art and show your differentiation. And you have to be very much connected to sustainability. Don't try, to propose a project and try to make a loose link to sustainability. It has to be very clear, very demonstrable. We need to understand how you demonstrate that you are really connected to sustainability. It's an international cooperation between different countries, and so partners in different countries. 2 countries are mandatory, but we advise to have more than 2 countries. Why? Because in case at the end, because we said 30% chances to get funded, because of course, if we receive a lot of projects in certain countries, there will be a sorting of the proposals according to their quality. So not every project in a considered country will be funded. So you can imagine if you take 2 countries only, if one of the countries does not fund your project and the partners are not ready to go self-funded, your project will not run. So therefore, it's to balance the risk of having one country saying no for the funding. At the end, it's advised to have more than 2 countries. But the rule is a minimum of 2. The recommendation is more than 2. Our industrial partner from each country, one industrial partner from each country represented in a project. It's an industrial call. So we want to have in every country at least 1 industrial partner. And it has to, it can be in some countries only this industrial partner, or in some countries you have a request to build a national consortium as well. So with more than 1 partner. But on our side, we want to have at least 1 industrial partner in each country involved in the international consortium. Proposals can be cross-clusters, cross-domains, cross-communities. Usually it's more or less combined because clusters represent a community which is working in a domain, but you could still have new communities or new domains coming in and that are not already officially represented by a specific cluster. And again, I insist very much on it. Please try to involve, to really cross things and have fertilization across communities / clusters. It is recommended to have a consortium that covers all segments of the value chain relevant for the project scope. What we really want is to see that what is developed in a project is representative of the value chain in reality. So that from the technology developer, thinker, provider, startup, to the industrial guy who is able to assemble the solution or to develop a product with good commercialization channels, and down to the end customer, which would be, for example, a business-to-business customer. We want to see this represented in the consortium and according to the solution and the value chain described for the solution. So please try really to involve all the possible partners, stakeholders of the value chain, which is representing your proposed solution. So you can see a link here on how to participate with more details on the website. So what is a successful project? It is a well-defined problem statement. You must be crystal clear and avoid any generality. Just not say you are treating sustainability, but what exactly in sustainability, for example, or what is your proposal really doing about sustainability, how it will do it, and so on. Extend, define the state of the art. So really describe the state of the art, that we really see how you distinguish yourselves from the state of the art. Again, the value chain ecosystem, explain clearly how the partners complement each other along the value chain. So not only list the partners who are there and then hope that everyone knows how the value chain is working together, but describe also the interfaces, who works with whom, in which way, what is the interconnection of the different partners, assembling them into a value chain. That's very important. commercial and over impact, how and who will commercialize the solutions, create new opportunities. So really describe what the different partners will be able to expect as commercialization, exploitation of the results, what is the impact they see internally in their company, like the number of new headcounts we can achieve, or the new business, the new return on investment, and so on, but also create new opportunities. So like opening a new market for the company. And we try also to enforce or reinforce the message that not only the different parts of the solution will be commercialized, but possibly some partners will associate themselves together in order to commercialize the part of the solution or the full solution towards the market. That's also very much appreciated if you can achieve that. A successful project, second part, you have to meet national criteria. Each national consortium, so it is an international consortium made of national consortia, sorry, but each national consortium must contact its national funding body. And this is important. Also in the evaluation of your proposal, because some countries will really put a lot of weight on the fact that not only you participate to an international consortium that delivers value at international level, but you are also delivering as national consortium something to your country. So please describe as well how the national consortium is able to provide this value. In our estimation, in two phases, because we are evaluating the overall proposal, but the national funding bodies may also evaluate with their own experts at national level what it brings to their nation. And this is where sometimes projects fail because they are not able to, in the national application, describe what the national consortium is also developing for the nation, not only the international part, but the national one. So please put attention to this one. And energy. Country impact, again, demonstrate the economic impact and other benefits for each country involved, which is like the national criteria, because very often this impact, national impact, is part of the criteria for the national applications. Mid-sized project, we are looking at projects as overall envelope of eligible costs in the range of 5 million to 20 million euro. And with a typical project duration of 2 to 3 years. We are looking at green issues, so please demonstrate, show exactly what sustainability is important for all of us and should be demonstrated in your proposal. Why and how you want to provide a response to the problem of sustainability. You have to show a great ambition in your project. Your proposal should be unique and ambitious, but realistic with risk. So don't overpromise, but make a good promise. And a good promise is an ambitious one, but taking into account risks, listing those risks, and proposing some mitigation. So there's a section in the proposal template. Please work on this one as well carefully, because this is how the national authorities will evaluate if they are themselves at risk in funding your project. So you have to deliver value for the country, so that's the ambition, and you have to deliver to receive the funding with a certain, let's say, assurance that you will achieve the goal, which is the risk assessment and mitigation part of your proposal. Close the market. So close to the market, sorry, not close the market, of course. Close to the market. Envisage fast commercialization. Again, within 3 years after the end of the project, we want to see the impact. And we will track this impact. After the project, you will receive requests to provide us self-assessments about what you have achieved after the end of the project. I think it's 2 years, up to 3 years. So now the KPIs. Related to the impact on sustainability. We want to have projects that are able to measure their impact on sustainability. We don't want generic things. We want you to be able to define, determine, and describe your own sustainability scope in KPIs. Describe KPIs, key performance indicators, about sustainability, how you want to define them, how you want to measure them, how you want to compare them. Then use smart KPIs, please. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound KPIs. This is important because then we are able also to compare the different projects. And in the end of a project, you will be able, in a much easier way, to reach, let's say, out to the market and to participate to standards, to be able to participate with your innovations into the global economy. The KPI should allow evaluation of the global, I am accelerating a little bit, or should allow evaluation of the global and systemic environmental footprint reduction. So really provide KPIs that enable this. The clusters will review KPIs during the monitoring phase of the label project to assess project results. So I think there are supporting events for the webinars. There's a national, the national one will, the international one will be on the 23rd of March. Sorry, and I'm done. Sorry for the long explanations.
Thank you, Xavier, for this very clear presentation. And I invite all of you, if you have questions, just put them in the question tab. Okay, I hope you can hear me now. So Luxinnovation is a private, public-private partnership, which main shareholder is the Ministry of Economy, but we also act on behalf of the Ministry of Higher Education and Research, the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Skilled Crafts, and the Federation of Luxembourgish Industries. So let's come to the national funding rules for companies. In general, private enterprises registered in Luxembourg are eligible, but they cannot be undertakings in difficulty. This means a company is considered in difficulty if more than half of the subscribed shared capital has disappeared as a result of accumulated losses. It is even better if a company can demonstrate its financial viability regarding its contribution to the project, and that it can demonstrate how the outcome of the project contributes to its growth and future assets. What is really important to mention here is that the Ministry of Economy is not funding research institutes and universities in the frame of EUREKA programs. So here we have the timeline for the decision process. So as Xavier already mentioned, shortly the full project proposal submission deadline will be in September, but be aware that there is a first project outline submission deadline in May. We recommend that you contact Luxinnovation as soon as possible to get support, but at the very latest 1 month before the full project proposal submission, so that we can work together on a good application. After the decision by the EUREKA clusters, you will have to submit an application on the national level. And it's really important that no binding commitment is done before the submission to the Ministry of the Economy. After the submission, there will be the instruction by the Ministry of Economy, which will end by the evaluation from the State Aid Commission and the funding decision by the Ministry. The grant payments can be done in several tranches over the duration of the project or after the project. So what are the main criteria to benefit from financial aid? So the first one is the companies need to demonstrate that they have a co-financing capacity. This co-financing capacity is not only linked to the project, but to the full needs of the companies, and therefore the sources of this co-financing capacity can be varied, such as a capital increase, bank loans, or free cash flow. The second criteria is economic impact. So the company needs to prove that through the project, they will create substance within the company and also in Luxembourg. Innovation means that you have to go over the current state of the art, such as Xavier also explained. And then, as I already mentioned, this incentive effect is really important. So you cannot have any binding commitment before submitting to the Ministry of the Economy. And then the R&D project also need to have technological challenges that are overcome by the employees of the company. So now that we have seen the different criteria to benefit from financial aid, I will focus on the aid scheme that is applicable in the frame of the EUREKA programs, which is the R&D aid scheme. As you can see, the aid intensities vary between the size of the company and the technological readiness of the project. Thanks to the EUREKA program, an effective collaboration is needed or asked, effective collaboration between at least 2 companies in 2 different countries, but this allows for a top-up of 15% to the state aid that you can see in the table. So the aid intensities can go, including the collaboration bonus, from 40% for large companies up to 80% for small companies. Here we have a very good summary of the eligible costs for R&D projects, but in general you can say that all costs that are directly related to R&D activities are eligible, and this does not include sales, marketing, management, or commercialization costs. So moving on to the last slide. As mentioned, Luxinnovation has already accompanied several EUREKA projects over the last years. And what was a common factor for all the successful projects were balanced partnerships where all the consortium partners had mutual benefits and there was a sound exploitation plan for all the partners. The projects that did not receive funding were either one-shot projects that seemed rather being subcontracting than effective collaboration, or the applicant companies did not have the resources to carry out or exploit project results. So please remember that Luxinnovation is here to support you. There are many different ways how we can support you, be it by challenging business cases to make them stronger, or helping companies to structure their project, or even find adequate competences in Luxembourg or abroad. So if you are interested in participating in the EUREKA programs, reach out to us as soon as possible, and we will be happy to assist you in your innovation efforts. So that was it from my side. I will now pass on the word to Harold Linke from HITEC to share his experiences.
So good afternoon. My name is Harold Linke. I'm from HITEC Luxembourg. I'm the Research and Technology Department Manager, and I will just share my application. Okay, after a short introduction to HITEC, I will talk about the project we participated, why we participated in Celtic projects, and give you also some example of the results and some lessons learned. First of all, so HITEC Luxembourg is a small SME with approximately 50 employees and over 35 years in business. We are active in 4 areas: public safety, satellite ground segment development, traffic management, and special test systems. As an engineering company, HITEC is very innovative and invests a lot in research and innovation. So we therefore participate in several EU and Celtic projects. So on the following slide, I will show you a little bit what projects we participated in Celtic. So we started our Celtic participation in 2008 with the project HMPS, Heterogeneous Networks for Public Safety, where we developed solutions for public safety services integrating TETRA, wireless communication, mobile networks, and satellite communication. The second project was a project about cooperative mobility services in the future, integrating corporate ITS services and providing new solutions for this. The next 2 projects are more in the area of cybersecurity and are very linked together. So CyberV is more in the wireless technology and providing security technologies for Wi-Fi, while HITEC was more in the critical infrastructure technology like IoTs and for instance for the energy industry. This project just finished, so 2 weeks ago we did our final review on this project. And currently we are working in a project called 5G Safe Plus, where we test in Luxembourg corporate ITS technologies for the vehicles on the Luxembourg highways near the Kloster. So why it's very interesting for us for participating in EUREKA and or Celtic projects. So first of all, as was already mentioned, there's a cooperation with international partners. So you sit together with companies that you normally don't have access to. You learn from them, you can see how they work, and also you can discuss your results with them. And this on one side, okay, gives better results than if you work alone. And also you get new ideas, what you can develop and how you can improve your products. What's also important, you can build up a network of experts. So when you want to do new projects, the network is growing and growing, and you find it's much easier to find good partners. And what you should not forget, okay, also the partners in the project would be new partners for business and for sales, and providing new opportunities for your business. Quickly, some results, okay, that we gained from the Celtic projects. So the first one is a nomadic satellite communication system that is used, okay, for disaster response by different organizations. The second one is a dynamic information sharing platform that increases situational awareness and allows an efficient information sharing for organizations in disaster response. Based on this, okay, we have developed, are providing a service together with SAS Astra called Emergency LU that is providing to humanitarian agencies the rapid disaster response capability. And another example is the last solution that we developed in the HITEC project. It's an edge computing security module that is using artificial intelligence for detecting cyber attacks. Without the Celtic projects, we would not have been able to develop these products in this short time frame. So during all these different projects, we have also a lot of lessons learned that I would like to provide to you. A lot of topics have already been mentioned by Xavier and Elisabeth, so I will go quickly to them, and also the time is running. So what is very important when you start with a project idea, you have to think about what is the impact of this idea, and also what is the business potential. This was already mentioned. You have to shape your idea and think about how it is unique and what can the idea bring in the future. What is very important is to think about what are the technical challenges and the risks. So pure development alone cannot be supported. So there has to be some risk in the project, and everybody knows, okay, that risk also means, okay, that the project can fail or that you have to change your ideas during the project. This is normal, this happens. On the other side, you have to think about what is the business impact you have, okay, how can you sell your product finally, and also what was already mentioned, okay, what is the impact on national, in this case, okay, for Luxembourg? What are the advantages for Luxembourg economy and society? And as it was already mentioned, okay, it's very important to talk to Luxinnovation as early as possible. When you start with your idea, they can help you to shape the idea and to think about, okay, ask the right questions so that you come up with a good proposal. The second point is how to find partners, national or international. So again, Luxinnovation can help you with their broad network, but also there are these EUREKA and Celtic brokerage events that were already mentioned by Xavier. So we, on these events, okay, we already also found very interesting partners that we included into our projects. So these are very valuable, and hopefully in the next events can be done again in person and not only virtually, because when you meet in person, it's much easier to get to know people and to get into contact. What you have to be very careful about, and also Xavier mentioned it, there are different funding schemes in the different countries and processes. And this can create really some trouble when starting the project. I will come to this. So when you write the proposal, you need to have two parts. You have the national proposal, so Luxinnovation is helping you on this proposal, and then the EUREKA Celtic proposal. And if you are not experienced in writing them, the best thing is to find somebody and a partner who knows how to do this, because this makes the things much easier. What you also have to think about, okay, when you start the project, most of the projects, the start is not very smooth. So there's not the possibility to say, okay, we all start at the 1st of January. There's unfortunately every international partner country has different schemes how to start the project and how to fund projects. You can have different starting dates for the partners. And that's also possible, as Xavier mentioned, okay, that partners get no funding and you have to replace them by other partners, or the topic is really missing. So this is something that you have to be aware of when you start a project. It's also possible during the project to add new partners. This is very normal. So also in the last project, okay, we also started half a year later than the other partners because we became aware of the project only after the project was starting already. And that's one of the big advantages of the EUREKA Celtic projects over other funding schemes. The projects are very flexible, and changes in the project, when they are supporting the overall growth of the project, are possible. So this helps you really in getting your goals done in the project. And when you find out during the project that you have to change something, especially on your business part and on your product, you can do this. It's always possible. What is very important, think about how to disseminate your result and how to exploit the results at the end. And think about this at the beginning and not only at the end of the project. So as it was already mentioned, there are several reviews. So there's a midterm review. So this review checks if the project is on track and may recommend corrections if there are some problems. What is very important, and most things forget, normally for most of the projects, the midterm review comes suddenly, even if it's after 18 months normally. So please think about from the beginning that you start writing deliverables as early as possible and not only in the last month before the review. You always see this in the quality of the deliverables, okay, that they were done in a hurry. Also think about possible demonstrations in the midterm review. This is always very welcome. So in the final review, this checks, okay, if the project goals have been achieved. Here it's also very important, okay, that you know, okay, that you see how to demonstrate your results and show clearly, okay, what you achieved. Okay, that was very quickly a short run over the lessons learned from our projects, and I'm ready here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold, for this interesting return of experience from EUREKA projects. So if there are any questions, please write them in the chat or question tab, and all of our speakers are available to answer your questions. I'm not sure if there are any more. Oh, I see something. No. So if there are no questions at the moment, you can always get back to me if you have questions at a later time. And if there are no questions, I'm going to thank all of you for speaking at our webinar and having very clear points and presentations. Have a nice afternoon, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Looking forward to your proposals. Bye-bye.